Hello and welcome to the Bobby and Beardy Show. Today we are going to be discussing Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, because everything is a saga these days. Saga this, saga that. Word of the decade in Hollywood. There are time codes below if you want to skip around, head straight to spoilers, avoid spoilers. Entirely up to you. And I'm joined, as ever, by my co-host of the Bobby and Beardy Show. His name is, let me just check the notes, Beardy.
Beardy, yes.
Oh, no, sorry, Beardy. It's Beardy, everyone. Beardy, it's been a lovely bank holiday weekend for me. How the devil are you?
I'm good. Let's start off with I'm good. I'm coming off the back of a week of stag do's and weddings, and my liver does not like me anymore. I have spent far too much money. I have probably taken years off my life, but it has been very, very nice. Lovely people got married in a lovely way, and it was very, very, very good. I was happy to obviously be there with Tegan on everything except the stag. It was a nice way to spend the week. I just don't feel rested. I took a week off, which I never do. You know this, and I've just worked the entire time. I've been drinking the entire time, or planning tests for the entire time, and then went to hospital twice, and then
he's been working his liver the entire time. That's what he's been bloody doing, tell you that much.
It's just been a Rocky montage of just alcohol hitting it and crying. How are you? Oh, you obviously said nice bank holiday. What did you get up to?
Well, it's been relatively sunny, even though the weather forecast down here was doom and gloom for the most part. Scattered showers, but no, we went out with Amy's nan on the Saturday. We went for breakfast. That was very delicious. We've seen some movies. We've watched some TV shows. I've got all sorts of stuff to talk to you about, actually.
Oh,
Since we last recorded, I've seen 3 things. I'll run through them really quickly. That's the speed of light.
Start with the best one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the one you were going to say.
Fine. I'll start with the best one. I finally got around to watching Loki Season 2. It's pretty good.
Fair enough.
I was watching it because I think there might be some tie-ins to the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, and I was like, I enjoyed Season 1, I just never got around to Season 2. It's pretty good. There's 6 episodes. Episodes 3 and 4 kind of started to lose me a little bit because they meet and interact a lot with a variant of He Who Remains, Kang. Kind of lost me a bit, but then it built back up. I haven't really been that interested in Kang in the MCU.
Yeah.
He was in like 1 episode of Season 1 that last like 10 minutes. He was in Ant-Man 3, which was garbage, the worst film in the cinematic universe of Marvel that I've seen. So yeah, and I don't think we're going to be seeing too much of Jonathan Majors. Well, we're not. He's been fired. We're not going to go into that. Maybe they're going to recast him and have someone else play Kang, or some other people play Kang, which is what I would do. I would have multiple people play him.
With variant options.
Because you've got, in the Spider-Mans, you've got multiple Peter Parkers, and it works fine, and you can actually have actors acting with each other rather than full blue screen, green screen nonsense. So,
agreed.
Majors firing and stuff aside, I wasn't really that enjoying his performances that much. In the role, it wasn't grabbing me, so the fact that they've got a chance to shake it up might be a good thing, maybe. I'm going to swing to the worst thing I saw, which was the Garfield movie. The text I sent you after seeing it was, if you fixed the plot, dialogue, and replaced Chris Pratt, there might be a mildly decent movie hiding in there somewhere. It's not very good. And Chris Pratt in everything is driving me insane. So
I haven't seen it, but it's not been a banner year for Sony so far, which is...
I categorically told you not to watch it because I would not be reviewing it on the podcast.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. It's not really my cup of tea. I think there's been too many different Garfield variations, and there's been too many variations of many stuff, but the Garfield one does not appeal.
It doesn't feel like... I'm no Garfield lore expert. I read it when it was still in the newspapers and things, and you saw snippets of it and whatnot, but it doesn't feel like Garfield. Chris Pratt doesn't feel like Garfield. Chris Pratt, being the voice of every animated character in the world, is...
It's a cash grab.
It's not working for me. Stop it, Hollywood, please. And then the final thing I saw really quickly is Amy and I went and watched Hitman today with Hollywood's new favorite hunky hunk heartthrob man, Glenn Powell, who was in Anybody But You with Sydney Sweeney earlier in the year, and Top Gun Maverick a couple of years back. And he's also starring in the Twister remake, reboot, reimagining saga later this year. So he's kind of everywhere. What have I got here? It's pretty good / pretty bad. I wrote these notes before I saw it. Yes. Okay. All jokes aside, it's quite slow paced. It claims to be a romantic comedy on some websites. It's more of a tense little Is everything going to come undone more often than not? There is some romance in there, but
is it the Agent 47 Hitman?
No.
Like the game? Oh, okay.
No, it's roughly based on a guy called Glenn Johnson, who was a real life undercover agent for the police who would do sting operations, pretending to be a hitman so that they could get him, and then it kind of spirals a little bit. It's based on that, and then it just goes off and does its own thing, so it's not historically accurate. It's quite slow. It's one of those films where I'm like, I feel like you could have sped some of this up. It's like an hour and 55 minutes. Does it need to be?
Far too long for you.
Well, it shouldn't be, though. That's the thing. It's under 2 hours. I know I say I want a 90-minute film, but under 2 hours I am fine with. But if I feel like it's like dragging, I'm like, okay. I'm starting to identify bits where you could have sped this up. But it was fine. It's coming out on Netflix on the 7th of June, if anybody wants to watch it, because it's got a really small cinematic release. You couldn't see it, which is why I'm just talking about it now, rather than doing an episode on it. I think if I was watching it on Netflix, I probably would have turned it off because of its just slowness, but getting towards the end when it starts to get a bit more tense and things start unraveling and shenanigans and stuff, worth it in the end, I would say. Anyway, those are the three things I've seen. Have you seen anything in your week of drunkenness, like your TV or anything, or should we just crack on?
Nothing new, nothing worth noting, no.
All the culture has gone straight to your liver this week rather than your eyeballs. So, all right, brilliant. Well, let's crack on with the main thing of the show, because we've already been going 7 minutes. And you know how I like to be on this. Okay, here's the rundown for
Taskmaster.
for Furiosa and Mad Max Saga, which is the 5th installment of the Mad Max franchise, serving as both a prequel and spin-off to Mad Max Fury Road in 2015. This post-apocalyptic action-adventure was directed, co-written, and co-produced by the mastermind, their words, not mine, George Miller, who collaborated with Nico Laforius, I'm pretty sure I said that name right, on the screenplay. Furiosa and Mad Max Saga focuses on the character of Furiosa, unsurprisingly, originally portrayed by Charlize Theron. Anya Taylor-Joy and Elia Brown star as younger versions, alongside Chris Hemsworth as Dr. Dementus and Tom Burke as Praetorian Jack. Loads of returning cast from Fury Road as well. Apart from, I've forgotten his name, I didn't write it down, who played Immortan Joe. He's been recast, obviously, because he passed away, but the guy steps in, does a great job, and he also plays one of Dr. Dementus's henchmen as well. He's got 2 roles in that film. The guy with the missing eye is also Immortan Joe. There you go. Also, Chris Hemsworth's wife has 2 roles in this film. So
I didn't know that.
Sneaking in. According to Wikipedia. The release date was 24th of May 2024 on a budget of $168 million. Could be Australian because it was filmed in Australia and it's set in Australia.
It could be.
Worldwide box office so far, as of this morning when I checked, was just under 60 million. Again, maybe Australian. Bit of a bomb, maybe? Has it got legs?
Yeah.
It's getting good reviews, so it might be one of those things that just keeps going. And there's nothing out for a couple of, 10 days or something. Bad Boys, and is Bad Boys really gonna... Are they the same market audience? I'm not sure.
Arguably, yes, actually.
Fair enough. I would say not, but fair play. Beardy, I've totally forgotten what the story is, though. Can you fill me in?
I had no idea this was coming. Obviously, as you say, it follows Furiosa. Basically, her childhood that led up to the Charlize Theron role in Fury Road. It goes through how she was taken, her mother comes after her and tries to rescue her. Her life then becomes very difficult, made so by Mr. Dr. Dementus. I said Mr. Doctor, yes. Mr. Dr. Dementus, Chris Hemsworth. And she managed to get away, then be pulled back, then get away, then be pulled back, and has this hatred, this vengeance for Dementus. And the story is pretty much how she gets into a situation to enact that vengeance. There are some other stories that come along. There is a little bit of a heartthrob love interest potentially that comes up, and then that kind of falls apart because the world is horrible.
Seems pretty pleasant to me. I don't know what you're talking about. There's sand for everybody.
I don't know how much you love sand. Yeah, it's her storyline from young child up to strong character she is in Fury Road. It was a good story. Contentiously, I will say this: I don't think it adds much. A lot of it is stuff you could figure out by context from Fury Road. They add little extras, and it is nice. And don't be wrong, like if they're going to flesh out the Mad Max world, then having her backstory is going to be really, really nice for that. But if it's just this is a prequel to Fury Road and this is it doesn't add a huge amount to me.
I
But that's
thought we were going to come into this and you were going to tell me how much you loved this film and be harping on about how bloody great it is. And I would be sitting here going, this film I consider to be fine at best.
There are parts of it I really, really like.
There are some things I like, and I will get to them. But I will say this: I don't think the Mad Max universe is for me.
Okay.
Especially the most two recent films. Okay, so the Mel Gibson stuff, I essentially only ever saw as a kid on TV, joining halfway through. You've got your ad breaks. You've got, it's always Thunderdome, and never the first one. I've never seen the original.
Wow.
And I don't think a lot of people know what the original is, if I'm honest with you, because everyone's just seen Thunderdome 800 times on TV when they were children.
I loved the original trilogy. I remember watching it quite a few times. I really, really did enjoy it. It obviously seemed like a sort of antithesis to Waterworld, which had a very similar principle, but everything's now dry and arid and stuff rather than everything's flooded. Obviously, electric's just fallen apart, and gasoline is the sort of currency of the world. I liked that. I like a dystopian future. I think Fury Road was good.
I think I'm one of the people in the world who went, I don't really care for this.
Well, yeah. So for me, it's technically very good. I use it a lot in work because it's really good at color mastering. It's really well shot. The storyline is, it's fine. I don't know what else I can say. And this, don't be wrong. Like both the storylines, they do well with the story they have, maybe the script they have. But it's not added anything meaningful in my eyes.
Yeah, I 100% agree with what you're saying there. I think quite often we make I'm heavily involved, obviously.
You make the prequels.
I am Jonathan Hollywood myself. They make prequels, and quite often you're like, well, is that needed? The one that always jumps to mind, that was just the most pointless of all the prequels, was the Han Solo movie, which, other than knowing who passed him his gun, didn't really need to exist as a film. So yeah, I think you're actually spot on. Really, everything you need to know about the character you gather in the first couple of minutes of seeing Charlize Theron as Furiosa in Fury Road.
Realistically, the only thing that you get from this is Dementus, so his story, because Furiosa, you know what she's trying to do from the very beginning of Fury Road, and you know why she's doing it. She's got quite a stinted life. She's in this harsh world, and she's making the best of what she can with it and trying to help people. The fact that she was made this way by Dementus, and obviously it's the start of Dementus, and again, there's some stuff with him I really, really enjoyed, which I want to go through, but it's basically his story told from her perspective that leads into Fury Road.
Yes.
That's all I got.
Absolutely. I enjoyed Chris Hemsworth as Mr. Dr. Dementus.
100%. Mr. Dr. Dementus, his official role.
He's fun, incredibly hammy, and he's probably the best bit of the movie.
He steals the show in the same way that Charlize Theron stole it in Fury Road.
Yeah.
It's officially not their film, but it's their film and everyone knows it. I say he was one of the better points. His accent was
no, that's the best bit. The way he says words and talks, and it's just like, what is going on here? It's fantastic. I love it.
I did enjoy Lady and Gentleman's. It just feels wrong, but I enjoyed that a lot.
I love the fact that he's always going around and he's got his speaker system rigged up and he's speaking into it constantly. Great.
He's very much that sort of like playing above his station, because he's got the history man who kind of he uses to learn more, and he's trying to play up to that role. And like he keeps throwing in words that maybe he doesn't know. I think at one point does he even ask if he used it right, which I think I'm remembering that. I might be misremembering.
I can't quite remember, but it sounds like something the character would do.
But yeah, that was a really good whole thing. Like I liked his progression as he went through, which you can kind of see from his costume design. So the cape, which I don't know. Do we talk about this now, or do we talk about this in spoilers? That should be fine now.
I think it's fine, but mostly you can see the world is stressful to him, as you can see by his facial hair that changes color and gets grayer and more stressed, and you can see it in his facial expressions and stuff. So yeah.
But even like his cape, when you first see him, he's got this sort of like hooded cloak thing going on. It's pure white, and he's learning and being told how great he is. And then they're trying to find this safe place that you see Furiosa in at the very beginning. And his cape, for one way or another, gets kind of stained red, and you see he goes through this like tyrannical section when he's now this sort of red Dementus. And then as things goes on, it gets a bit darker, and he gets a bit darker.
Gets a bit grubby, doesn't it? And so does he.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I meant. Nothing to do with like dark characteristics. It was just purely.
No, he's just dirty. Have a watch, mate. Stop washing in gasoline.
It was really nice visual storytelling. Which obviously my other half's really into costuming. She did costuming at uni, and she points out this stuff, and I go, yeah, that's good. I'm gonna use that.
I will slip in the obligatory Bobby that this is too long comment. I think I'll circle back to that in a bit.
Okay.
Well, I also say Elia Brown portrays young/teenage Furiosa. Does a pretty good job.
She does.
And then Anya Taylor-Joy, I would describe her performance as absolutely fine. Personally, I wouldn't have recast Charlize Theron at all. I know it's been a decade, but I did a quick Google because George Miller didn't want to use de-aging technology for a prequel. And I've got to be honest with you, she looks basically the same then as she did now. And it's so, and she was good in the role. So
yeah, no, I agree. Don't get me wrong, Anya Taylor-Joy does a good job on it, and it's good to have. I want to say newer talent, but obviously she's done a lot anyway. But obviously Charlize Theron's done more. But it was good to have another person playing a strong female character, because there is a lot of that missing, and it was nice to have. But Charlize Theron did such a good job of it.
Yeah, again, it's not a knock. Like, she didn't do a bad job.
No.
I just personally, you've got a perfectly good Furiosa right here. Why are we?
Yeah.
Why are we switching it up? Also, while I'm on the people did a good job, I enjoyed the cool and calmness of Tom Burke as Praetorian Jack, who is the commander of the War Rig. He's just driving along, having a big shoot occasionally, doing some big moves. So that's fun. Circling back to it being slightly too long, there is a extended chase / attack on said war rig, which after, I don't know, about 10 minutes or so, maybe longer, maybe less, depending on, it felt like a while. I did realize that, none of the main characters, Furiosa, was actually particularly involved in said.
No, completely agree.
Spent most of the time just chilling around while like wave after wave of attacks happen. It felt like a video game where you clear one level and then another slightly different thing on, like, okay, they've got bikes, they had cars, now they're flying slightly. And yeah, the main character of Furiosa's, up until the end of it, where she does get involved, is basically there. I'm like, why am I watching this? This is doing nothing for me. It's just stuff's happening.
I think, again, it's just adding the action element in to pull more people to it, which, again, it did the action quite well, but it was too long. I think the pacing in this is wrong in not just the plot side of it, but the actual recording. So there's shots where they stay on an image for far too long. All the animated sections of like car chases and stuff are sped up a little bit, and it just feels a bit weirdly rushed by like half an extra 50% speed. So as they're turning around, like spinning around in the cars and stuff, it just spins a bit too fast. Everything moves a little bit off. And that chase, it was fine, but it was literally, there's something happening. We've seen this before. Here's something new. Oh, this isn't enough for you. Here's something bigger.
But also, like the previous film, which this is a prequel to, that entire film is one long car chase, which is one of the reasons I didn't care for it, if I'm honest with you, because there's only so much car chase a boy can have.
But I think the visuals in that one were better.
Agreed. And if you don't mind me interrupting, I found some of the shots in this film were a little Fast and Furious-esque. Fast and Furious-esque. There's a lot of zooming in as people, and like the head throwback as they're changing gears, and there's a shot where Chris Hemsworth is like ramming something, and it's like just backwards and forwards doing this, and it didn't really feel particularly amazing. There's another kind of Fast and Furious bit where Furiosa throws a hook on a rope to somebody to like they can grab so they don't fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
And I was just getting Vin Diesel vibes galore.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to make it clear, these are not compliments. The Fast and Furious franchise barely gets away with this because it's just the stupidest franchise on the planet. And even they jumped the shark with my tolerance levels a few years ago when they went to space. So yeah, I don't think this film is amazingly shot. I thought, again, I thought you were going to come in saying it's fantastic. So to hear that you also went, there's some dodgy elements here, means it's not just Bobby being super picky as usual.
The only thing I will defend on it, and again, it's not a visual thing, I like world building. We've said this with Dune and Madame Web and stuff like that. I do like the fact that obviously you've got the Citadel, you've got Gastown, you've got the Bullet Farm, and just seeing how those things interact and the deals they have. Like, no one trusts anyone, but everyone needs something from someone. And obviously Dementus pushing that a bit too far. We don't say too much without going to spoilers, but I liked the world building on that. I think that's probably why I liked the original Mad Maxes. Like, obviously you don't know what's going on and the world gets added to, and this kind of did that for me. But other than that, cinematography wasn't fantastic. There's nothing sound-wise that sounded amazing. It was fine at best. Yeah, I didn't hate my time there, but I'm not going to tell people it was worth going out.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier as well that there's like a hint of a romance kind of vibe between a couple of characters, and it felt like a bit classic 80s. Well, you're a man and I'm a woman, so even though we don't really have too much chemistry because we're both silent, stoic characters, well, I guess there's a hint of interest going on here, which, whatever.
It added nothing, and it wasn't even played on all that much. All it did was kind of spur Furiosa to maybe go back to a situation that she didn't want to, rather than keep running, because there's now this added extra, like, instant fury, like, rather than this, like, decades-old revenge she wants.
Yeah, I guess. That's true. A personal nitpick. I didn't hate this film, by the way. I am nitpicking a lot, and straight up criticizing in some places. And this one here is just how I prefer cinema to be. I don't like the use of chapter cards in films, personally. So if you're listening or watching this, viewer, and you do not mind them, just ignore what I'm going to say. I personally think they quite rightly break things up as they're intended, but I personally think they ruin the flow of a film. I'm not a big fan of them. But again, if anybody else likes them, and that's how you like your Tarantino-y kind of things as well, that's fair. But it doesn't work for me. I find it slows things down. And when I already think things are too long, I find these big sudden breaks stop a flow, personally.
In principle, I agree with you. I think in certain elements it does work. I think in this film it did, because it was very much there's a long story to tell in what is relatively a short amount of time. So this is like this section's based on this. This is done now. This section's based on this. This is done now. I liked it for me, but I do understand your point, and there are definitely films that have used it and it didn't work.
Yeah. Another pet peeve is and if they didn't do this, they sure made it look like they did this. When they filmed night scenes during the day and just put a blue filter over things, especially in the first chapter, where she's a little Furiosa's a wee little bab, and her mum is doing some saving attempts and stuff like that. I just don't like it. Beardy, I don't like it. It looks weird.
Like I say, visually it wasn't as good as Fury Road was, and Fury Road wasn't my favourite, but it did do some things right. I can't see any recording techniques or any colour mastering that has really made me happy, and this is something I look for. You know I do.
Yeah.
Just spoilers and ratings.
Yeah, I think I've said everything I kind of want to say in non-spoiler wise. I'm gonna give it a thumbs down, personally.
Okay.
Yeah, I like I said, the Mad Max universe, it doesn't really do anything for me. Maybe will I give it a thumbs down? Chris Hemsworth is pretty fun though.
Yeah, I think it. I know we have a binary up or down situation going on. If there was more of a scale, for me, it's just on the okay side than it is on the underside. So I do have to give it a thumbs up, but it's not high up there for me. I enjoyed again. I say this all the time. I enjoyed my time there. I didn't hate it. I won't watch again unless it happens to be on and I can't be bothered to reach the remote. That's about it for me.
No, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with my thumbs down.
Out of conviction, fair play.
I think it just ticks over the other way. We're very close though. Okay. You're just over.
Yeah.
The thumbs up, and I'm just under. Chris Hemsworth is pretty fun though. To be fair, there's quite a lot of decent acting in this. I just think the story I'm being told and the pacing of it, and the extended pointless car chases and things like that just made me go, what are we doing here? I think actually you summed it up brilliantly earlier. Is this film adding anything to the universe and to the story of Furiosa? And I would say no, because you could get all of that information from Mad Max Fury Road.
Context, yeah.
So, okay. Spoilers, lead the way.
So the thing is, there's not a huge amount to say spoilers-wise that you don't kind of know because it's going there anyway. I do like one of my favourite things I did like in the spoiler side of it came right at the end. I do like how they don't specifically know what she does with Dementus. It's one person says this, it's he says, she says, and they cut to like, does she torture him? Does she kill him? I liked that as a story mechanic. I don't always like a happily ever after or everything's terrible. I like, we said this with challenges, not knowing sometimes it's okay for me. I'm okay with that. And this one, I like the final cut they do where like she's put the peach pit in him and it's growing out of him whilst he's alive. Because she's been carrying this peach pit or apricot pit like the entire film. When she gets back to this green haven that she's taken from at the beginning, that's what she's like supposed to go back to and plant it, because her mum asked her to before she was killed horribly in front of her, which we'll talk about as well. But yeah, this peach pit growing out of Chris Hemsworth is a horrible, torturous way. It's very sort of Greek tragedy sort of like way of doing things. But the idea that some people say she shot him, some people say she dragged him around the back of her car. Like, I like the not knowing, and that was quite good storytelling for me.
Yeah, is that mentioned in Fury Road at all, that there's a tree growing out of a man? Yeah, I couldn't remember anything.
Not that I'm aware of. I will have to go back, because I would like, it'd be a really nice little tip towards it if there is, but I don't remember it on top of my head.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. Is that even possible, by the way? Science? Any scientists? Come on, let me know. Can I grow a peach tree out of a man? Let me know.
I think it would kill you quite quickly.
Doesn't sound like. I mean, the amount of effort to keep him alive, to grow a tree.
Yeah.
I don't know, guys. It just feels like you should just shoot him. Come on, lads. You're giving yourself a daily chore there, aren't you? There's more work for you than him. He's lying there growing a tree out of him, and you're going to have to go and feed and water him to keep it going. I don't know.
Yeah.
More of a punishment for you than anybody else, I would say. Speaking of, this entire thing is caused because Furiosa can't follow her mum's instructions for 5 minutes. She's specifically told to drive home. And what does she do? Within 2 seconds, she turns around and runs into Mr. Dr. Dementus' arms and watches her mum die horribly as a result. From close up. I mean, she was going to die horribly anyway, but come on. Have a bit of brain power.
Yeah, no, completely agree. Like, it sounds really harsh to say this, and people are going to take this out of context, but it's very much her own fault. If she had just run, she had the time, she had the space, she had a bike, she could have got back to the safe space, the Greenland that she came from, and okay, your mum's dead, but that happened anyway. Again, I'm not trying to downplay your mum dying because it's horrible, and I get that, but it was going to happen anyway. But rather than your decades of suffering and the death and destruction that comes with it, and people maybe finding your safe space, everyone's fine. Everyone goes back to the way they were. It would have been a very terrible film, but
it would have been short.
Yeah, well, you loved
it. Also, Furiosa's mum sends away Chris Hemsworth's wife, who is on the chase with her at the start to get Furiosa back, and then she sends her away. I'm like, no, come on. There's loads of those guys. You could use someone else with another gun. Work together. Mm-hmm. You're really setting yourselves up for a fall here. Come on now. Yeah, I don't think there's really too much more else to say. I mean, we could literally talk about every plot element, which is Mr. Dr. Dementor's, sorry.
Thank you.
He wants to take the Citadel from Immortan Joe, and he realizes he can't, so he takes Gastown instead. And then there's lots of bartering, and he's mismanagement. He's a terrible boss, always blaming other people, and he's like, the warlords are warring. Mr. Dr. Dementors takes the Bullet Farm, and that results in a chase where Praetorian Jack gets killed, and things like that. So we could talk about all of that, but really, it's kind of just irrelevant, almost. Not irrelevant, but it's not.
It's enough of a plot point to push the story along, but that's all it really is. It kind of explains why the Citadel is kind of the only thing that's left, but yeah, it's basically his greed and wanting the Citadel that's working so well. He kind of crushes the only other two outposts that exist, and they could easily have been a good life. Like, those things actually produce, like, one produces fuel, one produces weapon or ammunition, and one produces food.
Yeah.
And he had two of them. That's a good enough percentage. Like just be okay with that, or maybe don't instantly go after the last one the day you've taken over the second.
Yeah.
Like, build up your resources.
It's just bad strategic planning. Mr. Dr. Dementus will be no good at risk. Let me tell you. Absolutely useless. Definitely. He's thinking he can keep rolling sixes, but he can't. Trust me. You'll never hold Russia as a kid. Eddie Izzard reference.
I enjoy that reference, by the way. I had an idiot reference in a while, so thank you.
All right. Have we got anything else you want to add, or shall we start the wrap-up?
Nothing meaningful. I do want to say that, obviously, the naming of characters, I can't remember if the other kids of Immortan Joe mentioned in Fury Road.
They're in it.
Or
they're returning.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
They're returning characters.
But obviously, the fact you've got Scrotus and Rictus Erectus, obviously Toe Jam. To be fair, I did like the Organic Mechanic as a name.
Yeah,
like that I quite liked. That was good.
I like a bit of rhyming.
It does annoy me that he's been called that when there's a guy called Dr. Dementus. Like, Doctor clearly still exists.
Yeah, and also it hasn't been that long since the fall of the world, and everyone's acting like we can't remember any names, unless they just think the Organic Mechanic's cooler than
maybe. I thought you were gonna say
general
like
practitioner.
A little bit of time and. I thought you were going to say it's only been a little bit of time and the world wouldn't devolve that quickly, but remember COVID, like everything fell apart.
Yeah, well, that is certainly true.
Honestly, if the electricity went out, I expected a Fury Road running through Stoke. But...
Is that Mr. Dr. Dementus driving by? Oh, yeah. Christ. All right, there we go.
I don't have a huge amount more.
I think I've said all I want to say, so let's wrap up. Beardy!
Yes.
Take us home.
Well, once again, thank you so much for watching and listening. I'll get it right this time. You can watch us currently on YouTube. You can listen to us on Spotify. Do both or either, but mainly both. The more you listen on Spotify, maybe Bobby and I get big enough we can have video on Spotify as well, and you can watch us twice at the same time. Line it up. Perfect. We love it.
Could you imagine? The dream.
I need it for all the monitors I have. I need to watch them all at the same time. You, as always, can find Bobby on Twitch as Bobby Android. I still haven't fixed everything yet, but I am in the current process of fixing some visuals so I can start streaming, because I now have an ultra-wide monitor and I don't want to cut anything out. So work is being done.
He'll be back eventually. Pencil him in for a Twitch return in about 2026. He'll be there.
2026 seems quite soon. But if I do manage to get things together, or I did do a test stream about a month ago or so, that's McBeardy. Come chill. I need friends. Help me. Other than that, this has been Bob and Beardy show for Furiosa and Mad Max Saga. Watch it if you want. Do your own thing.
I think if you enjoyed the previous one, you'll enjoy this one. But I think it is, diminishing returns. Like we said.
Yes.
Does it add anything else to this universe? Not really that much, apart from Chris Hemsworth's incredible voice. So,
yeah.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you soon. Farewell.
Bye-bye.